Hey, Joe on the radio. Now let's get back into it because we have immense respect for Dr. Stephen Greer. Frankie brought Dr. Greer to the airwaves months ago, and he told us everything we needed to know about "quote unquote" COVID-19. You know, this Wuhan virus, and now the pandemic. So it's a pleasure to bring Dr. Greer back to the airwaves. Dr. Stephen, welcome back to the show, my friend. Always great to have you with us, sir.
Hey, good morning. Thanks. I like that you call it the Wuhan virus. That's what I've been calling it. The COVID-19. COVID-19 is literally a propaganda term made by the World Health Organization to deflect from the origin of China. It's a meaningless term. You either call it SARS-CoV-2 or the coronavirus or the Wuhan virus.
Wow, wow. Well, and it's from Wuhan. Why won't they? Why is that a political situation? I mean, that Lyme is from the city of Connecticut.
Yeah.
Ebola. I mean, it's a geographical location. Wuhan is where this virus emanated from. Correct, Dr. Greer? Please.
Yes, I like it. Keep using it.
All right, well, for sure. Hey, so Doc, so listen, you're the guy, you're the man, you're the man. We're seeing reports all over the country that in states that have opened up, that there's been a spike in corona cases. Spike. I keep hearing this. How accurate is this, please?
Okay. The number of cases in itself is a number that's next to virtually meaningless. All it means is the United States and states are testing more. So you've got to put it in perspective. Okay, is it translating into more hospitalizations, ICU stays? Those are the numbers that matter. So just because you get more cases just means you simply tested for more. And conversely, if you don't test for anybody, you could be getting a lot of virus and you wouldn't know it because you're not testing. So it just means you're actually effectively testing. I said this is with those big economic numbers we got last month with huge increases in employment. That means every person who's employed can't be walking around protesting, more or less. So the biggest fear of this movement that the far left had was a bunch of people stuck in their homes under quarantine with nothing to do other than protest, and it worked. And now as the economy gets better, they're going to lose that momentum. So that's where you're seeing all of these articles trying to scare you with new cases. The way to keep this shut down, let's say there is a spike and there's a bunch of new cases. We now know that mass quarantine is the dumbest possible thing to do. And what we need to do is focused, targeted lockdowns, or whatever the term is. There was a reputable MIT just came out with a study that said that focused, targeted lockdowns is the way to go. So if these cases are true and we do see a spike, well, fine. You find the hot spot, wherever that city is, whatever, and you focus on that. You don't shut down the whole darn nation.
Yeah, you were never an advocate of this quote unquote lockdown, and 3 months later, really, Doc, how much damage to public health has been done because of this lockdown?
Incalculable. It's going to be just never before in the history of mankind have we shut down the medical systems for 3 or 4 months. So you're going to see the results 12 months from now, when you start to see a year-over-year spike in breast cancer and prostate cancer and colon cancer and everything else that went undetected for 4 months. So we won't know this full scope of this for years.
Well, now, and you were one of the first people to speak publicly about both hydroxychloroquine and remdesivir on this show. You broke that news on this show, and everybody started to listen to Dr. Stephen Greer from that point. I mean, they of course, I say that humbly, but they heard it on the radio. They said, wow, what's about this? President talks about it. They vilify him. Now the FDA saying, don't use hydroxychloroquine. Then I check other friends in the pharmaceutical industry. They say exactly what you said, Dr. Greer, that this has worked. And if you're in a situation where they go, well, you know what? You're going to have to just go home and take Tylenol, or you're going to be on a ventilator. Why not? What do they have against this drug, sir?
Well, it's all been misinterpreted. The recent FDA move The FDA never needed or should have done this emergency approval in the first place. There's no need for it. The drug was already approved, well known for 50 years. We know it. A doctor can prescribe a drug for anything. It's called off-label. They didn't need to do the approval. It was some numbskull in the Trump administration who thought this would be smart, and I blame Alex Azar of the Health and Human Services, who then got his BARDA division. But it was a bunch of nasty politics, and then a whistleblower came out and said, I was demoted because I said bad things about hydroxychloroquine. So then they had to come back and right the wrong and reverse the approval. It's all politics. Totally meaningless. The drug very likely works if you get, symptoms of the virus and so forth. And if any doctor says, I'm not giving you hydroxychloroquine, then insist on it and get it. You have the right to insist on it and get it. And the proof in the pudding is all of these people who claim to say it doesn't work, use it. Chris Cuomo used it, when he had it, so absolutely. Hey, if Nancy Pelosi got the Wuhan virus, she'd be taking hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Greer. Thank you. And so, again, and just to reiterate, the second wave, and I know this is political. I know they're trying to scare us. The news media feeds off of this like a bunch of rabid sharks. But the second wave, that not something that we should be that concerned with, Dr. Greer?
No, right now there's the opposite evidence. New York is showing days where there's no new deaths, and New York is doing fine, and that's the epicenter. So I have not seen a single credible report of any city with significant spikes that matter. It doesn't. And keep in mind, it's all if you have Tulsa, Oklahoma that had previously 50 cases and it jumps to 100. Oh, that's 100% increase. It sounds bad, but it's meaningless, 50 to 100. So when you get these places out where there was a low incidence and prevalence to begin with, you can get a huge spike, but it's still meaningless. Okay, so be careful. That's a statistical trick used all the time. Cases spiked 80%. Yeah, from what to what? From 2 to 4. So no, there's no second wave. It's all political hype. And even if there is a second wave, then you target the lockdown this time around. You don't shut down the whole nation. And so a V-shaped recovery of the economy is the far less worst nightmare. And it's going to, give all the momentum back to Trump. And so it's all political. It's repulsive. It's repulsive how my field of medicine has been politicized. It's just repulsive.
And you know what you're talking about business-wise because Dr. Greer has been a portfolio manager, a Wall Street analyst for 20-plus years, so he knows of what he speaks. On this, they've been pretty tough on Governor Cuomo, Governor Murphy as well, for sending COVID patients to nursing homes. If you're a politician, Doc, and they don't have your prowess or your astute understanding of this quote-unquote pandemic, can you blame these governors for doing what they did, putting those COVID patients into hospitals, putting those COVID patients into nursing homes? They should have known better. Is that your opinion, Dr. Greer?
Yeah, so I said this before. It was a conscious, malicious, criminal act. They need to be prosecuted. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York needs to get in there and do something. This is not politics. This crossed the line into mass murder. And Mayor de Blasio is now lumped in it as well. Did you see the report yesterday, I think, from Controller Stringer, who said that Mayor de Blasio illegally siphoned money off that was supposed to go to these watchdogs called ombudsmen. And so the nursing homes had no one looking over them. And so that's another reason we saw this carnage at these nursing homes. So that was just a horrible mistake. That's the other thing. Years from now, we're going to look back on this, and you're going to see Netflix documentaries on it. Is the Cuomo decision to kill a bunch of people?
Okay, well, you're not holding back this morning, Dr. Greer. We hear you. We hear you loud and clear. Dr. Greer, tell us about the deaths. There's 120,000. There's going to be 200,000. And I've been saying from just the outside research that I look at, Dr. Greer, aside from talking to you, that everybody's been told to put down COVID-19. They will get more money if they put COVID-19. They don't have
Yep.
time to do you go to look into an autopsy. So, what do you think the real pandemic Wuhan virus death toll will be in the United States? I mean, on an honest account, not these blown out, inflated accounts
I
of
don't
deaths.
know. I stopped updating my model months ago when I realized the numbers were getting wacky, and then I learned that they were just inflating the numbers in New York. But in some parts of the country, they're probably underreporting. In other parts, they're overreporting. The death rate is a very misleading number now because we just don't know. They're not doing proper causes of death. So
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know if anyone will. It would take a huge audit, of every single person, and that would take a long time.
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great, Dr. Greer, if a news media, a news organization, looked into this and really, really studied that? What a great story that would be. That was a rhetorical question, sir. Hey, Dr. Greer, before we let you go, masks, and masks, face coverings. I got my Boomer Naturals. I wear them all the time, but I'm a hypochondriac. What is your take on masks, please?
Well, it all depends on your risk factors. So if you're visiting a nursing home or an older person, yes, wear a mask. I personally, in subways and airplanes, long before this incident, this pandemic, wore it because it wards off regular influenza and all sorts of things. So if you're in New York and you're taking the subway, it's probably smart. If you are living in Nebraska, I don't think it's necessary. And when you see these politicians go on TV and give a speech and they're wearing a mask, that's just, it's idiotic. It's not achieving anything other than a photo op. So.
Yeah, I must say, I don't mean to make fun of it, but it's hysterical. The camera guy's 10 feet away, maybe 20 feet away, and they're by themselves and they wear the mask, and Joe Biden with the mask on his chin. Doc, before we let you go, what's the new steroid they're talking about that very much may work against this Wuhan virus?
Oh, yeah, dexamethasone, it's like a penny a pill. Basically, what happens with the virus is because it was I forgot to say something.
What?
Anthony Fauci.
Yeah.
Part of this fear mongering is good old Anthony Fauci's back out there saying this. So Anthony Fauci has zero credibility. Did you see the other day where he admitted that they lied to us about masks? Okay, remember early on when they said, masks don't work? Well, that's because they didn't want a shortage or a run on supply. He's admitting that. Yep. I'm sorry, he's a scientist. He's not allowed to do that stuff, okay? And so,
man.
Yeah.
But back to the new steroid. Do you think that is actually got hope? Is there hope to that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's the virus because it was engineered in Anthony Fauci's lab to do this. It attacks endothelial cells, which are the things.
You don't stop, man. You don't stop. I'm trying to defend the two Italians, Fauci and Cuomo, and I'm getting beat up. I'm telling you. No respect. Dr. Greer, you're the man. Thank you. Listen, Dr. Stephen Greer, Google Dr. Stephen Greer, practicing physician, pioneering how hospitals care for the elderly. He became a Wall Street analyst. This is a brilliant guy. Hey, Dr. Greer, Stephen, you're the best, man. Thanks so much for joining us, and we appreciate it. Please come back soon, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Dr. Stephen Greer, Joe on the radio.